Hello, everyone. Welcome to Own Your Image, Effortless Style, Branding, and Extraordinary Confidence. Today, we have an amazing speaker, an amazing woman. She is an award-winning filmmaker, producer, author, skincare expert. She is a powerhouse. She's worked with celebrities such as Taylor Swift, Burt Reynolds. She's worked for TV networks. She is what really encompasses owning your image. So welcome, Jacqueline Journey, to the Own Your Image show.
Hi.
Thank you so much. Hello. I'm so happy to be here with you guys. You are so inspiring. I love what you're doing. Starting your own business, digging in, following your passions. Amazing. I love it.
Thank you so much. The pressing question, since we're all in quarantine, how has this quarantine life been for you?
Actually, as scary as the time is at the moment, it's been really good for me. And I've taken a chance to sort of be a little more introspective, get into projects that I had put off because I just didn't have the time. And it's given me a chance to sort of reallocate my energy and do some things that I've been putting off and wanting to do for a really long time.
That's good. Yeah.
I think this has been a time of reflection for us all.
Yeah.
Even in the chaos and despair. I think it was a reset that every single person needed to just take a moment. So that's good to hear.
Yes, and appreciate everything that we do have. You know, it's amazing how much we take for granted in this life, and it sort of put everyone on notice, kind of like, hey, you know, I need to be more appreciative and grateful for, you know, all the blessings we have.
Right. Yes, and also get some rest.
Yes.
A little bit of rest, and
I am sleeping a little later. I will admit that.
Yes. Yeah, me too. And it's like I'm gonna take this moment and get some of the extra rest that we have. So.
So true.
So just to start off, tell us a little bit about your brand.
Well, it's ever evolving. I've really tried to. Mostly. Everything sort of encompasses what I believe in the most, which is being an individual, being very true to yourself, motivating others, trying to provide some form of motivation and inspiration in whatever form that takes. And I think most importantly, being true to yourself is at the heart of the entire thing. For me, that's what my brand is all about. That's how I ended up starting my own business, getting into following my dreams. And it's very easy in life to sort of get on this hamster wheel, and you get a job, and then the job can take over your life, or you get into a relationship and a relationship can take over your life. And at a certain point, if you're not careful, your life begins to run you instead of you running your life. And I found myself in a position like that probably, I don't know, 10 or 12 years ago. And that's when, even though I had a great job, and I'm so appreciative for all of the experience that I'd had throughout the years, I really realized there were so many things in my life that I wanted to do, that I had envisioned for myself, that I just wasn't doing. And I realized that I was sort of a slave to how my life had evolved. And instead of making a conscious effort to say, look, this is who I am, this is what I want to accomplish, this is how I can be true to myself, and never get older and think, I wish I would have done this, I wish I would have tried that. And it's really tough because life is hard and we all have a lot going on, and it's very easy to get distracted from your goals and forget sometimes what those goals were. Right. So for me, the core of my brand really is understanding who I am and helping other women to understand who they are, what's unique about them, what makes them irreplaceable, what's special about each and every one of us, and how do we share that with everyone else and make a difference in the world.
Really good.
So you have your book, you're an author, you're an actress, you've done a little bit of everything. Can you talk to us kind of about how you went into each sector?
Yeah.
Well, when I first started in television, I was still in high school and I was hosting music video shows. That's kind of how I got into it. And I was really fascinated by how everything worked behind the scenes. So I started producing almost immediately and figuring out what it took to produce television shows. And I was fortunate enough to help to build 3 different networks and work with some really incredible people over the years. And I always loved it. About 10 years ago, I had helped to build a network in Austin, Texas, and we were producing shows. I was also hosting a couple of the series. And at the same time, I did a few episodes of Friday Night Lights. I played this troublemaking reporter, Karen Stark. And when I took that part, it kind of reminded me of some of the things I wasn't doing that I really did enjoy. And that's sort of when I started to take stock of what I was doing. And I really did sit down and make a physical list of all of these incredible people that I'd met over the years and worked with over the years and what they had in common, what I really admired about them. And I started to follow the list and I ended up leaving my job. And I was the vice president and executive producer of a network, which was a partnership with Time Warner. We did a lot of arts and entertainment, live concerts, documentaries, that kind of thing. And I moved back to Florida and started my own production company. And I made a movie, which had always been my dream, to produce my own film. And we screened in Cannes and we won some awards and went to some different festivals, and it was incredible. And all my friends started asking me, what is this list that you made? You know, like, I want to read this list because I can't believe how much your life has changed. You know, you went from working to another company, and yes, I was very grateful. I had a fantastic job, worked with amazing people, but I really took a left turn, you know, and really got into what I had always dreamed of doing. And so I started sending them the list and they wanted to follow it. And I thought, you know what, this would make a great book. And so that's how I ended up writing the book. And that's essentially what it's about. I isolated these 9, what I call divas details. The book is called The Divas and the Details. And each of these 9 points are sort of unifying characteristics that a lot of truly incredible people share. Everyone from Oscar winners to billionaires and legends and icons and Grammy winners and all kinds of incredible people. And then with each of these, I tell personal stories about how they were in person, little anecdotes that help personify that particular characteristic or diva's detail. But I also talk a lot about body language and first impressions. And I don't need to tell you guys how important first impressions are, and image and style. It's especially today. I mean, in the world we live in, image has become more and more important. And particularly in times like this, where all of us are isolated, particularly during this COVID experience, it's sort of amplified what was already happening, where a lot of people are on their phones or on their computers, they're communicating through social media, as opposed to having these really good interpersonal skills. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people don't understand how to make a great first impression, how to, you know, go to a job interview and really impress someone and make them want to hire you. You know, we're losing a lot of those skills.
Yes, we would have to agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
Like you said, technology has like sort of shifted how we communicate with one another because we are, and so I think that's really, really important. Knowing how to make a first image. It's sort of like going back to the beginning steps of how to properly communicate.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I want to ask you, you mentioned your dreams, and you know, often people associate dreams with taking a step out. You know, it's something unknown, and often fear comes about. And
yes.
One of the things you said, I think it was on your blog, an expert from your book, eat your fear for breakfast. That dive in a little bit deeper into like what that means.
Yes, fear is one of the biggest factors that hold people back, because they think, you know, there's no way that I can do this. I've never done this before. It's an unknown. And people get very complacent. They're very comfortable you know, where they are. And when you start to really dive into it, what does it have to do with? I think a large part of it sometimes is self-sabotage. People are afraid to succeed. And it's like what I like to call the, you know, step away from the cupcake. Like, you know, you want to lose that 5 pounds before you get in your dress, but you can't resist the cupcake, and you know it's the wrong thing, but you eat it anyway. And so there's a little bit of that self-sabotage going on because of fear. But people don't understand that fear is really a failure. People, they don't want to be disliked. They want people to love them and like them and appreciate them and respect them. And everyone is afraid that that's not going to be reciprocated. You know, there's always that fear within us. And if people start to realize that this fear is nothing more a failure, is completely unwarranted, because failure is part of it. You know, everyone's going to fail. We all fail. Failure is nothing but a course correction, if you want to look at it that way. If something doesn't work out, you know, don't give up immediately, but you have to look at your opportunities. I love this story about Sarah Blakely. I'm sure you guys know who she is. She invented Spanx.
Yes.
Well, she was actually in law school and she wanted to be an attorney, and she took the bar exam and she failed. And because she failed the bar exam, she created Spanx. And if more people understood that this is how a lot of dreams come about, you may not even know what you're meant to do. It may not even be clear to you what your purpose in life is, but you have to roll with the punches, and you have to understand that failure is always going to be a part of your life. That's how you grow. No one win. You know, Hershey bars had like 7 bankruptcies before they created a Hershey bar. So it's important to understand that fear of failure is going to be there, but you just have to overcome it, and you have to embrace that failure and look at it as an opportunity to learn, to course correct, and figure out where you really should be and what you should be doing.
That's good.
Love that so much. So with all of that, we're speaking on fear and failure, and then a little bit about your journey. How do you feel that your values played a part in really carrying you through?
A huge part. And particularly when I sat down and realized that I had never, this was quite a while back, but when I started working on the book, I realized that when I had made that list, when I was sort of looking for some direction and guidance and motivation and inspiration, you know, like we all need on a regular basis. And I realized defining all of my standards was really important in defining who I was. And I realized that because I hadn't really written it down, like these are my spiritual standards, these are my romantic standards, these are my professional standards, these are the lines that I won't cross and I don't want to cross, because I know it doesn't fit within who I am and how I feel good about myself. And once I defined it, it was much easier for me to make decisions, you know, because I'd actually written it down, I put it on paper, and I equated it to like being in a high jump competition without a bar. You know, if you just go through life and you just jump and there's no bar, you can think, wow, I was fantastic. But, you know, in reality, you never made it over the imaginary bar. You know, you kind of have to set something for yourself and have something to mark your progress with, you know, and to keep your standards where you would like them to stay. And that really helped me a lot.
And you know, that's I'm thinking, you know, you said the hamster wheel and like being in, you know, you were in that circle and just going and being in the job. And I think especially right now, that's a really good exercise for us, for everyone that's listening, to really sit down and like think about like, what is it that I won't do? What is it that I love, you know, and do some self-reflection, because often, you know, everyone has values,
right,
but they kind of get like pushed to the wayside because we are in that so that's a good exercise to do, for sure.
Absolutely. And make sure that they're yours and not someone else's. You know, that's the thing too. All of us are individuals and we have to have that uniqueness. And I see so much these days, especially with social media and everything else that a lot of people want to imitate. They think, you know, I want to be just like this person. And I think we can take inspiration. I love your shirt, by the way. That, you know, it's great to be inspired by people and to learn from them and identify with certain personality traits of theirs, but don't go and try to imitate them. You know, love the way they have their own personal style, or love the way that they're very courageous in their professional decisions, or love how great they are giving back to the community, but be your own person. You know, I think you can admire traits, be inspired by people, but don't try to imitate anyone. And I think we see a lot of that today.
Yes, yes, definitely today.
Yeah, for sure. And I think sometimes it's hard when you're like, we're so consumed, like you said, with social media, we're looking and watching and seeing, and we're like comparing ourselves. So it can get a little crazy. But speaking of that, let's switch the bar a little bit and talk about fashion and style.
Yes.
I love fashion and style. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
So, do you connect with the message when you look better, you feel better?
Oh my God, 100%, 100%. And I have this great little quick exercise that everyone who's watching right now could do. And it is, if you close your eyes and count to 3, just 1, 2, 3. That quick amount of time right there is about how long you have to make a first impression.
Wow.
That's it. And once you make that a visual impression, once you make that impression, it is so difficult, it's almost impossible to overcome it once you've made that impression. So that's how quickly people are making assessments about you. And they're not doing it to be judgmental. It's just how we are as human beings. You know, we're intaking a lot of information constantly as we walk around and move throughout our day. And that's kind of what our brain allots to. This is the impression I have of this person. So looking your best is so important. And it doesn't mean that you have to be dressed to the nines every day, but if you don't care about your appearance, that's going to show.
Yeah.
And if you don't look your best, a lot of times people are never going to see your best because they're deciding, do I want to listen to this person? How much value does what this person is saying to me have to me? You know, how much of it will I take to heart? How much will I trust their judgment? They're making a lot of these decisions when you first meet someone based on your appearance. And there have been a lot of scientific studies about things like this. And there's actually something called enclothed cognition, which basically states that how other people feel about you and how you feel about yourself is greatly affected by the way that you present yourself, how you're dressed, how you take care of yourself. And you know it, you know, everyone knows it when you're getting ready to go to a party or something like that, and you take the time to do your hair, you know, put on a little makeup, put on a dress that looks great, all of those things, you feel more confident. It's like a suit of armor almost, you know, the minute that you know, get dressed up and you've taken the time and the care to take care of yourself, you feel better about yourself. And that shows to other people.
Yes,
Yeah, it does.
truly does.
I think even now, you know, we're all quarantined, right? So the daily practices of getting up and getting ready and like doing your makeup and doing your hair, it's like, do I really need to do that? Because no one's really watching. But I think now more than ever, we should, because, you know, we are feeling, you know, isolated and alone. And it's like, getting up and out of your pajamas, even if you're going to the living room, is gonna make you feel better.
Yeah,
it is, absolutely. And especially when we're at home, you don't have to get all dressed up and put on heels and do all of that, but just taking that time to actually care about yourself. You know, you're giving yourself value. You're saying, your subconscious mind is saying, you know what, I care about myself, I value myself, and I'm going to be good to me. You know, so like taking a bubble bath, or, you know, doing a face mask, or, you know, doing your hair for no reason, you know, like little things, even if it's not putting on, you know, a face of makeup and your best high heels, is still going to really help you in your attitude and your confidence, because you don't have to wear makeup to be beautiful.
Right.
You don't. You just don't. But those people still take care of themselves. You know,
Yeah.
Alicia Keys is gorgeous, drop dead gorgeous. She doesn't like to wear a lot of makeup, but I promise you, she takes care of herself. If it's yoga, it's meditation, you know, she's telling herself, I have value, you know, and she's taking care of her needs spiritually, mentally, physically, this kind of thing. And we all have to be careful to do that.
Definitely.
That's so good. What I'm hearing is that what self-value is a part of fashion. Fashion does play a role in what you wear and how you feel about yourself. Not that you have to like be in any specific type of fashion, but just it shows that you value yourself when you look good and when you get present yourself, you know, clean and healthy and all of those things. So I love that. How would you describe your personal style?
I like to say elegance with edge, if I have to put it into words, but I love elegant things and I love the classics, but I'm a little more edgy than that. And so that's funny you asked that. I actually write about that in my book because I think everyone should define their style. You know, it's something as simple as that. Because again, if you're trying to build a brand, a large part of that is being very consistent. And, you know, as you guys know, from having your brand color palette to making decisions about, you know, consistent looks and logos and your website and how all of the working parts speak to each other and work cohesively. So a big part of that is just being consistent. And I think that too, especially, you know, in your industry as well, knowing that people can recognize your style, you know, it's really important.
That's a big thing. Part, yeah. And speaking of style and making you confident and showing up, building your brand, how has confidence played a role in your relationships, your careers? How has that sort of made you who you are?
Confidence is everything. It really is. And I think it's not easy. You can't really flip a switch and have confidence. It doesn't work like that. It's something that you really have to spend the time, you know, that you have to work on. And again, I think that not only leads back to things like self-care, but believing in yourself and understanding that you are capable. And I love this saying, you know, you're breathing the same air as the billionaires, you know, like it's no different. It's the same air. And we all have this innate capability to be fantastic, whether it is, you know, being a fantastic charity worker or being a billionaire or being a fashion icon or being a skincare mogul, whatever is your jam, or being the best mother that's ever been, you know, and your kids adore you, which is equally, if not more important than all of those others. So building up that confidence, keeping lists, this is something I really like, not only gratitude, but people sometimes forget how well they've dealt with adversity in the past. And I talk a little bit in the book about this as well, in an exercise to go over some of the adversities that you've had, things that have really gone left that you had to work your way out of, and how you worked your way out of that, you know, how you were able to work through it and come out on the other side. We often forget those moments, you know, we kind of wash our hands of it. We don't want to think about it anymore, but it's important that we've made those steps. We're a lot of times stronger than we think we are. And for a quick momentary trick for confidence and courage, one, look people in the eye when you talk to them. Like, that's a quick fix. A lot of people look down and around, and especially because everyone's on their phones, and it's kind of a dead giveaway. But particularly in an interview or you're meeting people for the first time, making that eye contact is really important. And secondly, when you're feeling afraid and you don't want to do something, but you know you should, or you know you have to, I have this great little trick where I count down 3, 2, 1, and I started doing it after I started working in television, because they do the countdown. You know, you do your 5, 4, and then the 3, 2, 1 is silent, but they did the 3, 2, 1. So I'm always, you know, stop, breathe, believe. And then whatever it is, I do it. I don't wait. I don't sit there and procrastinate. I don't, you know, if I have to go talk to someone, I remember a couple of different times meeting people who I really looked up to, and I was nervous, you know, to like go talk to them. And I would just be like, 3, 2, 1, go. There's no stop. You know, you can't hesitate. Hesitate is a killer.
Yes.
And that will give you the confidence if you just do it.
Yeah. Like Nike.
I know, I was thinking about that the other day, actually. I was like, what a fantastic catchphrase. It's like the best one out there.
It is. It is. So just speaking of the confidence, was there a time where you struggled, or can you pinpoint a struggle that you had with confidence you had to overcome?
Gosh. I mean, on a personal level, the thing that pops out the most to me is my husband had head and neck cancer, and he was stage 4, and they thought it was very likely that he wouldn't make it. And he couldn't work. He couldn't eat for like 8 or 9 months. I couldn't work because he needed someone to drive him to radiation every day and to chemo and all those things. And I think it really turned my world upside down. You know, I mean, and we all have our situations in life, and we all have our crosses to bear, and everyone has difficulties. So I'm no different in that way. But that for me was the most challenging time, where I felt it turned my world upside down, and I had no more confidence in like, I'm going to be able to fix this. I'm going to be able to make it through this, and I'm going to be able to follow my dreams. Like everything kind of faded away. You forget about everything else going on in your life when that happens. And it really turned my world upside down. It took me, thankfully he recovered and he's cancer free now, but it was a really, really difficult time. And it took me a good year probably just to rebuild confidence in being able to have a normal, happy, productive life. I questioned everything after that happened. And I think it's really tough to move on from difficult situations like that. But again, I looked at it from the viewpoint of, look what we accomplished. You know, look what he was able to do to get through this horrific time. And look what we were able to do together, and how much we accomplished. And now that we're on the other side of that, just makes us stronger and gives us the confidence that we can tackle whatever comes next. And it makes everything else look easier when you go through things like that.
Wow, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
That's really, really powerful, because it also, what plays in my mind is that sometimes we'll go through different periods where our confidence might fail us, right? That we'll have to rebuild it again. The situation you went through, or maybe you have to start a new job, or you move to a new city. Like, there's going to be different times you're going to have to struggle through different areas of confidence, and that story is really a powerful testimony of that, and I love it. Thank you for sharing.
And I'm so
pleasure
that your husband is cancer free.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes, it was really difficult, but you know, in a way too, a blessing, because it was about 2 years after he recovered, I got diagnosed with cancer. And I went to 2 or 3 different doctors who all said, you're fine, don't worry about it. And I didn't believe it. And because I had been through what I'd been through with him, I pushed the issue, and I ended up catching it extremely early. They were able to just cut it out. I didn't have to have chemo or radiation. And I feel really blessed that under normal circumstances, I just would have listened to the doctors, and I wouldn't have pursued it, you know, any further. And it was actually during that time that when you have cancer, they check you for all kinds of cancer then. And a dermatologist was checking me for skin cancer and prescribed me this rosacea medicine. And I found out later that it was this black box medicine with extended use. It can cause cancer. I was like, what? I mean, I really felt like it felt completely surreal that a doctor who knew I was in treatment for cancer prescribed me something that could cause cancer, you know, for my rosacea. And that was when I decided to do my own skincare. That's when, and this was probably, it's not been 5 years ago or so. And I literally, as soon as I found that out, I went home and I started researching natural and organic ingredients and skincare. and have spent the last few years building that line for myself. So I'm really excited to put it out there, but which will be later this year. But that's how I got into it. So it's kind of a negative into a positive.
And you know what? I'm hearing you, everything that you've talked about with us today, it's like confidence, branding is sort of an evolution, right? Because you go through situations, come out of situations. You have to learn through those situations. And so with that being said, what does it mean to you to truly own your image?
Truly owning your image is not only believing in yourself, creating that inner confidence, taking care of yourself, representing what you believe in most, and being really clear about what it is that you do believe in and what your standards are. But as you mentioned, also being willing to grow and to change, because that's what life is. If we're not growing, if we're not moving, we're dying. Right. I mean, it's just that easy, because you can't get in a lane and just stay there your whole life. I mean, you can, but for me, I would be really bored, and I think it would be really tough for me to feel like I had lived a full life. If I were so afraid of change, you can't let it cripple you. Change is scary, but the more changes that you allow to come in your life and you accept that that's going to be a part of it, that you can make a plan, but, as I say, God laughs at every plan, but you may end up somewhere even better than where you thought you would be. But I think just being open to life and being willing to say yes to things and take a chance and take a risk, as long as you're being true to yourself and who you really are, because at the core, if you're going to build a brand, the worst possible thing you can do is build it based on someone else's beliefs or what you think other people want you to be.
Right.
Because if you start, that's a house of cards. If you start building saying, oh, but people are going to expect me to be this, and people are going to expect me to be that, and I have to be this or people won't like me. In my opinion, it's a recipe for disaster. I think that, of course, there's a chance that you could have some short-term success with that, but you have no room to grow and you'll never be genuine. And when you're not being genuine to yourself, you're not only being disingenuous to others, but you're also telling yourself and your subconscious mind that you're not good enough the way you are. And that's why you have to be something else. And it's just so counterproductive in my mind. And it leads to even more self-sabotage, and it leads to, even more being unhappy and not understanding why you're not fulfilling a true purpose. And I think being genuine to yourself and really understanding who you are, what makes you unique, and having your own set of values and making that a part of your personal brand is the most genuine way that you can find success. Because then people love you, and they know, they love you for who you are, not who you are purporting to be.
Right.
That's good. Very, very good. Well, you have really blessed us with all of your gems, all of your wisdom, all of your knowledge. I know, and our listeners, I hope you all got some great feedback here. I know you have a special treat for us. Would you like?
I do. Yes. I'm so excited. I was so excited to be a part of this event, and thank you again so much for including me. I love this. If any chance that I have, if someone could possibly be motivated by anything I have to say, it just would thrill me to death. I love it. But I thought that I would offer my book. I have the book, The Divas in the Details. I'm going to put up a special link on my website, JacquelineJourney.com, and it'll right on the front page. People put in their email address. They're going to get 50% off the book. They'll also get for free the companion workbook, which is the best, because each of the chapters I have a do the obvious at the end of every chapter, and then also a couple of assignments. And this way you can really track your progress. And this book is really designed to motivate and inspire and help you to figure out what makes you who you are and how to be the best version of yourself that you can be. And it's also going to give you a lot of those great basics for making a fantastic first impression, body language, which is so important. Like 60 to 90% of all of our communication is through body language. That's without you saying a word. And people are reading how you feel and what you're saying to them. So that's really important as well. So anyway, very off topic. Okay, so the book, 50% off, and you're gonna get the free workbook when you go to my site, JacquelineJourney.com. You just put in your email and a little code is gonna pop up, and you just put the code in and you'll get that. I'm also going to offer something really special for right now. It's a guide to crushing a job interview, which is going to be so crucial for people, especially as people start getting back to work and people may be starting new careers, looking for a new place in this world, which is really important. And there's going to be a lot of competition out there. So I created a nice guide to job interviews, and that's completely free, whether you buy the book or not. So that download will be there for people to look at. And if anyone has any questions, please send me an email. I love connecting with people and hearing their stories. And I just love helping. And if there's any way that I can, I try to.
Amazing.
Amazing.
Thank you so much for
Yes.
being so generous and giving all of this information and your gifts and your treats. We've been blessed. I know our listeners have been blessed.
Oh, I feel very blessed to be here. Thank you.
How can we all stay in contact with you? Do you have Instagram, Facebook, Twitter?
Yes, I am at Jackie Journey, JACQUIE JOURNEY. Because when I signed up for everything, they only allowed 14 characters. Jacqueline wouldn't fit. And now certainly they've opened it up so that they can be longer, but I'm already established there. So it's JACQUIE Journey.
Amazing. Thank you so
so
much.
Thank you so much, you guys. All the best. God bless. And have a fantastic event.
Thank you.